I like that, baby. I like that. Hey, come on, D. Stop them on this one.
Hey, don't quit now. Let's go.
Yeah!
Let's crank it up and play hard. Let's win this sucker.
Take
you want it more, baby. You want it more.
Let's go!
Hello and welcome to a high school football special on Midco Sports Network. This is the Rise Above the Region 7-on-7 tournament at the Sanford Complex in Sioux Falls. Tom Neiman along with Jason Andera, and welcome in. We are here in the middle of July, and we've got 12 teams here from North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa, Jason, and football is 11-on-11. What are we doing here in 7-on-7 in the middle of the summer? What are these teams getting out of it?
Well, first, we got to break the ice. We got to get into football season, and this is the perfect event to do that, give you that first taste. And that's what's important for these teams, too. Get that first taste as a team, get some team building going on, understand who's going to be playing beside you, in front of you, around you. And that's one great thing that these coaches love about this tournament. Another thing, underrated, it's great for these defenses to see passes all day long, to communicate with each other. A lot of people talk about the offense in this tournament, but I think defenses get as much or more benefit out of seeing the 7-on-7 action.
Right, no linemen here. It's just your 7-on-7, your offensive backfield against your defensive backfield, basically.
All passing.
Yes?
You got it. And, the Lions get their work later in the year, but for now, you're right. You get to see some defense. You get to see some passing offense. And what's better than getting some football in July? That's the part we love.
All right, this event was the brainchild of Jason Andera at Midco Sports Network and Curtis Riggs here at the Riggs Premier Football Academy. And for more on that with Curtis, here is Midco Sports Network's Kelly Stewart.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Curtis Riggs. He's the owner of Riggs Premier Football and the director of the Sanford Power Football Academy, also the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm. This guy wears a lot of hats, but he's the main guy when it comes to this Rise Above the Region 7-on-7 tournament. So this tournament in its second year, what improvements or changes, if any, did you look to make when it came to this year?
The first thing we were able to move, last year we were at Augustana, and it was great being there, but it was really hot down on the turf. And then we really didn't have a backup plan if we got rain or lightning. This year we could be on the junior football complex and go right into the Sanford Fieldhouse if we had any lightning.
All right. And 7-on-7, it's not the most traditional form of football, not the tackling, hard hits that we're used to, but what can the traditional football fan who's into that tackling, hard hits, big plays like that, look for in 7-on-7?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference, it gives the skilled guys a chance to actually perform in an area that's really tough. And in the normal football setting, there's so much pressure on the quarterback. Now you give them a chance to get back. They get to work on their timing with the receivers, and really it's very beneficial for the defense. The defense actually gets to go against the pass. They get to see the quarterback. They get to see what the quarterback's looking at. They go against the receivers, and so the defense gets equally as many good reps as the offense does.
All right, and 7-on-7 is becoming much more popular around the country. I mean, they have AAU 7-on-7 teams. They're hosting tournaments around all these colleges. But from a coaching perspective, it seems like a lot more coaches are evaluating their players in the summer from 7-on-7. So you as a coach, when you're watching 7-on-7, what are you looking for?
Well, the one big draw to this is there's no contact.
Mm-hmm.
So the coaches don't have to worry about guys really getting any of those contact type hits. The thing you want to look at is one, who's going to make plays, and that's really what it gives the coaches a chance to do. They know that the quarterbacks aren't going to have this much time to pass. They know that there's going to be pressure in the game, but this one, who's going to go get the ball? Who's going to make a play? Who's going to break on a ball? Who can they kind of count on as the season goes in?
All right, thanks, Coach Riggs. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Kelly, and our thanks to Curtis Riggs for letting us be a part of this. And we're in the middle of pool play right now, Jason, and Sioux Falls Roosevelt just put 71 points on the board. It's a 50-minute game with a running clock. What are some of the other rules here in 7-on-7?
Yeah, a lot of differences to take note. If you haven't watched 7-on-7 before, different than the 11-man game. And instead of going through all the rules, we're going to have our reporter, Jay Elson, go through those rules with you.
All right, thanks, guys. As you mentioned, this is not your traditional football in any way, shape, or form. Pretty much everything is different, but here's how things are going to shake out today. Each game is going to feature a 25-minute running clock, two halves of 25-minute running clock. Each team getting one timeout per half. Otherwise, the clock will not stop. Now, in terms of the possessions, each and every one of them will start at the 40-yard line regardless of what preceded it. There is no blocking, pretty much no physical contact here. It's one-hand touch, and that's how the player is ruled down. As far as scoring is concerned, touchdowns were 6 points, as you might expect. Teams can then elect one of two options for the extra point. They can go to the 10-yard line and go for 1, or they can go to the 15-yard line and go for 2. Interceptions get the defense 3 points. However, if they return it for a touchdown, they have a couple of options. They can take the 6 points, go for the extra point, and then come right back out on defense. Otherwise, they can take 3 points and take the football. So those are their options there. Should we need overtime of any kind, each team will get 4 plays from the 20-yard line, but there will be no defensive scoring, so only the offense can score in overtime. But that's kind of a breakdown of the basic rules for this tournament. It went really well last year, and I'm pretty sure they're expecting the same kind of thing to play out here today.
Thank you, Jay. Here is a look at the teams that are here this year, how they are divided up for pool play. Each pool has a Sioux Falls team, another team outside of Sioux Falls from South Dakota, and then an out-of-state team either from North Dakota or Iowa. Each team will play 2 games in their pool and then get seeded into either the gold, the silver, or the bronze bracket for the afternoon games. And before we get to the pool highlights, Jay Elson will give you an overview of all 3 teams in that pool.
The Rough Riders have been consistently strong since their last championship in 2011, going 34-10 in that span. And there's reason to be optimistic once again this season, with a stocked backfield, the state's beefiest line, and an abundance of receivers on offense. All that is headed up by a calm, cool, and collected quarterback with big game experience.
Torrin's a very smart quarterback. He's got a very good arm. He's very accurate. So, he's just not 6'2" and 4'5" in the 40 like the quarterbacks we've had in the past. But he may be a better passer than either Taryn or Jed at that same time.
That offensive line, meanwhile, features 4 returning starters, including South Dakota State commit Austin Bowen.
I think we're in a really good offensive line this year. Me and Andrew Josko, we're over 300 pounds right now. So I'll be playing center, he'll be playing guard. We have a couple more guys coming back that are really good. That's had 2 years of experience, 1 year experience, and then a couple guys that rotated in last year too.
The defense isn't quite as settled going into the season with just 2 returning starters. However, the Rough Riders' depth and athleticism should cover the holes, making Roosevelt an early season favorite.
I'm excited about our team. They're a lot of fun to coach, and they come every day and play hard, and I can't ask for more than that.
The Bucks defended their undefeated season in 2014 with a follow-up championship. However, they started out last season with a 2-4 start before putting together a gutty road to another 11AA crown. This year, it will take even more gumption to get the Bucks back to the Dome.
We graduated, of course, 23 seniors that were out, 21 that were playing at the end, and when you graduate that many, you're starting out pretty raw. We need some young kids to help the upperclassmen get there for next year.
Nate Stevenson got some good experience at quarterback last year, but he's one of the few starters returning for Coach Arlen Lickness.
Manages really well for us, and he's got a little bit more on his shoulders this year, but he's doing a nice job.
While the names might not be as familiar this year in Yankton, this is a program that's proven to be an annual contender and should show improvement throughout the season. After a 1-9 finish in Iowa's Class 4A, Sioux City North feels like they're on the brink of breaking through. A lot of sophomores got playing time last year and are ready to contribute. Quarterback Al Tilo saw limited action in 2015, but has shown some big improvement and has some great tools in Rashawn Davis and Max Volmer in the offense. Look for a big improvement from the Stars this fall.
All right, first game up in Pool A, Sioux Falls Roosevelt, the defending champions in this event, taking on Yankton. And early in the game, Carter Karstens catch and roll, and the Riders up early 6-0. Rider defense, a big part of the picture. A couple of interceptions, one here by Chase Vaughn. That's good for 3 more points. Austin Johnson, big impact player at wide receiver. Another touchdown on a throw by Torrin Devricks. And then Devricks to Nate Varnes. Roosevelt up 23-0. Evan Warkentine with another interception, and the Riders up 26-0 after that pick. Yankton gets it going with Nate Stevenson. Finds senior running back Nick Rakusik for a touchdown there. and then goes to his go-to wide receiver, Cameron Krejci, down the sideline. They make it a 32-12 game, but the Riders keep coming. Seth Balloon with another touchdown coming up here, and Roosevelt knocks off Yankton 49-26. So up next for Roosevelt is Sioux City North. The Stars playing the big school class in Iowa up against the big school monsters from South Dakota. Carter Karstens again with the first touchdown of the game for Roosevelt. North comes back here, though, with Hunter Kromenhawk to Noah Weeder. And then Torin Devricks, though, right back at it for Roosevelt. Hooks up with Austin Johnson. And the Rider defense was impressive all day. Off the tip here, Carter Lohr, number 6, with a pick 6. And the Riders go in the lead 22-14. But Sioux City North staying right with them. Kromenhawk, again, this is a grab by Max Vollmer, and the Stars tie it up 22-22 after a 2-point conversion. And then Sioux Falls Roosevelt starts to pull away a little bit. Devricks will hit Nate Barnes with a touchdown. And then shortly after that, Austin Johnson. Another touchdown here on a sweet catch. Great throw from Devricks. Riders go up 39-22. This would be the highest scoring game of the day. Roosevelt also has Tyson Jan, another great offensive threat to go with all those wide receivers. Riders win this one 71-40. So the last game in Pool A, Sioux City North and Yankton, and the Stars get right at it. Kromenhawk to Landon Adams for the first touchdown of the game, and then Kromenhawk again, this time to senior Rashawn Davis. Stars up 12-0. Kromenhawk again to another target, Max Vollmer with the catch, and North in the lead 26-0. Yankton gets on board here with a nice catch by Cameron Krejci off the throw from Stevenson, but North comes right back again. Kromenhawk, another connection with Vollmer, great catch in the back of the end zone, and North up 34-6. And then Vollmer with some defense off the tipped pass right into his hands. That's 3 more points on the interception, and the Stars keep it rolling. Matt Hagan with a touchdown grab. North up big late in the game. Yankton tacks on a touchdown here with Rex Reichen, but North takes this one 53-12.
So there's a look at Pool A. Time now to move on to Pool B. Once again, Jay Elson will fill you in on some season outlooks.
The headline for the night season has nothing to do with who's on the field and everything to do with who's on the sidelines. For the first time in 33 years, it will not be Steve Keeter. It's going to be Jason Poppinga, who moves to Sioux Falls from Pierre.
It's been 33 years at O'Gorman using the exact same system, and I mean, everybody in the state knew exactly what Coach Keeter was going to show up and run offensively and defensively. So, I mean, the learning curve for our players, you know, just learning that, hey, the terminology, but our kids have put in a lot of time.
On the field, O'Gorman has a lot of new faces vying for starting spots. Hunter Thompson is one name to remember. He's the front runner as the starting quarterback, which is a position that carries a lot of tradition at OG.
You know, Fritch, 3-year starter for O'Gorman, and you know, holds a lot of the records. And you know, the one record Hunter will break is the passing record the first season. So we're pretty confident in that. But you know, the best part, he has game experience. I mean, he was one of those guys that started on defense. So I mean, he's been in the fire already. It's not like he's never stepped foot on a varsity football field. And so not starting at quarterback last year isn't going to hurt him at all, having that type of game experience. It's the guys around him that, you know, necessarily haven't been out there that we're looking at juniors and some couple sophomores even competing for spots. And that necessarily hasn't always been the case at O'Gorman with the senior-laden team year in and year out.
Coach Poppinga knows it won't be an easy transition for his new team, but he hopes they can make progress as the season moves on.
We don't return any players on offense, and you know, just 2-3 guys on defense. So, I mean, I don't want to use the word rebuilding, but it's an inexperienced team, and when you have to play beginning of the year, Washington, Brandon Valley, Roosevelt, 3 of your first 4 games, it's definitely going to be a learning experience for all of us, you know, going into that first stretch of the season.
Harrisburg used their big line and dominant D to work their way into the state semis last season. This year, look for a different dimension to fuel that team.
Our speed. We had a couple guys that could really fly last year, but this year we could put 3 or 4 guys on the field at the same time that can really move. What gives us a little different dimension offensively. we can get some playmakers the ball early in routes or early in a handoff situation, and they can make some guy miss and go for maybe 60, 70 yards.
The Tigers have a leader by the name of Hunter Headley back in the fold at quarterback.
We had our starting quarterback last year go down in the last regular season, and Hunter played the 2 playoff games and ended up winning us a playoff game and then lost a tight one at Yankton. So that experience really exploded him into a big role for us this year. He's been to quite a few camps and had a good offseason so far, so he's probably the front runner at this time.
Overall, the defense is much more experienced than it was a year ago.
Starting 4 sophomores on defense in the semifinal game against Yankton is huge. You kind of go in there a little shell-shocked, like what the heck's going to happen, but those kids stepped up, and then they were the first ones back out here with this senior group ready to rock and roll and get things rolling and turn in the right direction.
Head coach Brandon White hopes that equals a chance for a title run.
We got to get over the hump, and this could be our year. If we can stay healthy, I think we'll be in the mix.
The Braves have improved their record each of the last 2 seasons and are hoping to do that again. Head coach Todd Sheldon is ready to plug in some new faces in Mandan to keep this program moving forward.
We have quite a few kids that have put in some time in the weight room and made some efforts to get better, but there are not a lot of kids that have on-field experience. So we've got Dale Spillman coming back, who's a two-way starter at different points during the year. Definitely a kid we look to be at All-State, and Jaden Andreessen, who's our leading receiver coming back this year. But other than those guys, there's a lot of open spots, a lot of places for kids to take advantage of an opportunity.
The Braves are certainly going to miss the big arm and leadership of Jake Carlson at quarterback. There's several contenders for that spot this season. Senior Alex Horner, junior Caden Krause, and sophomore Connor Seepfeld will all get a chance to earn playing time in the pocket. Whoever does will get plenty of chances to throw the ball in Sheldon's offense.
If we get any criticism, it's because we've been too pass happy and at different times during the course of seasons, and I think that's just a part of our genetic makeup. We're going to throw the ball around a little bit. We want to be closer to 60-40 pass to run, but we've been throwing the ball a significant amount of time. And I think it sets up the run a little bit better. We get more explosive run plays.
Time to look at Pool B highlights. The Knights and Tigers both coming into the season with some new quarterbacks. Here's Hunter Thompson of O'Gorman, who finds Brett Sayre to open the scoring at 6-0. And Harrisburg, as you see, has Hunter Headley, who looks to his left, picks up a touchdown, toss to Sam Lose, tied up at 6. Thompson again, nice ball he throws right to the end zone. Canyon Bauer walks in. They take a 12-6 lead. Big momentum changer in the game. Tipped ball by Penn Johnson, and Andrew Reuter comes up with the interception. They're up 22-6, but Harrisburg comes right back to their big play threat. Justice Clayton on the long touchdown, down by 10. They pulled ahead 35-18, O'Gorman did, until Jackson Garnes got going. You see him grab that touchdown, and then he pulls an interception out of the air. Harrisburg feeling like a comeback, and then Hunter Headley drops one in for Jonah Rasmussen to polish off the big comeback on a 39-35 win in pool play. Mandan getting ready to take the field for the first time of the day. They didn't travel with their top 3 quarterbacks, so they slated in a couple of other position players, but it looks very nice on this pass. Look at that, Skylar Bossert with a nice gem. Trace Steckler comes down for the first one of the game, and they put their other quarterback, Aaron Blowers, in, and he lost one to the corner. Griffin Fettig comes up with a quick 12-0 lead, but Harrisburg returns the favor. Troy Connect playing quarterback now in place of Hunter Headley. Finds Lucas Coolstra for a touchdown. Mandan kept pouring it on. You see Bossert looking for another touchdown. Keaton Meshke this time comes down with it, but Harrisburg, they're used to comebacks in this thing, and their quarterback, Hunter Headley, kept the comeback coming. Looking for Justice Clayton. Look at that, airs it out in the back of the end zone. He runs it down, and just like that, Harrisburg is within 2 points of the hot start from Mandan, 24-22. The rain is starting to come down a little bit now. Look at that, lofted in the end zone. 3 Braves in the way, but 1 Tiger comes up with it. Headley finds Jack Anderson for the miraculous touchdown, and that gives them their first lead of the game, up by 4 points. Late in the game now, Headley rolls to his right, gets picked off. Look at that. Skylar Bossert with the pick. That would pull Mandan within 1, but that's how the game would end. They would come 1 point short of beating Harrisburg, and the Tigers move on to the gold bracket with a 28-27 win. We now know that Harrisburg moves on to the gold bracket at 2-0, but the silver bracket still up for grabs. Hunter Thompson for O'Gorman. Back to pass, but Skylar Blossert with the defensive interception. 3 points for Mandan. What a day for Blossert offensively and defensively. Now Mandan quarterback Aaron Blowers lofts it up, finds Griffin Fettig down the middle, and just like that, Mandan with the 2-score lead early in this one, but the Knights come back. Hunter Thompson finds the easy toss to Sam Burnison, who scoots in, and then the route is on. Hunter Thompson lofts one to the corner. Brett Sayre finds it and waltzes into the end zone, and another touchdown with Hunter Thompson. A couple looks to his left, back to the right, finds Trey Jones. A lot of different receivers for O'Gorman in this one, finding the end zone. And then Penn Johnson gets the pick, and he is not going to stop until he is on the other side of the field. That is 6 points for O'Gorman. And just like that, the Avalanche keeps on rumbling. They find another touchdown. Look at that. Max Tibbett stays in bounds. And O'Gorman with no problem after an early deficit against Mandan to move to the silver bracket. They win 60-15. Throughout this show, we're going to also sprinkle in the first edition of the Midco Sports Network Varsity Sports Power Rankings. Now, we've covered North and South Dakota. We're going to start in North Dakota, 9-man class, and the top 5 looks a little different than it has the last couple of years. Let's take a quick look. Number 5, Mott Region. I think this is a team that's ready to get back into the top 5. Haven't been in that landscape for a couple years, but with Josh Wallace and Brady Wegg, I think these guys are ready to make a move and be one of the contenders in the 9-man class this year. Another one of those teams that is going to vault themselves into the elite this year, I think it's Mohall LS. They're coming in at number 4, and then you see some of the traditional favorites over the last couple seasons. At number 3, Shiloh Christian. Yeah, they lost a lot of their playmakers from last year, but this program has really become stable, and they generate athletes year after year. In the top 2 spots, you see the defending champions of 9-man football, Richland at number 2. Again, a team that lost a ton of playmakers, but they do have the best running back in the entire state, in my opinion, Jake Elin, back on the team. And even though they play in a very tough region, I think Richland is definitely a team to beat. And in at number 1, Thompson. Thompson was very tough last year, very close to being one of those elite teams, and I think they take that step this year with Kalen Schwabe in at quarterback. He's going to lead this team to an outstanding season in 9-man football. In North Dakota Class A, I think there are about a dozen contenders this year that really deserve a chance to be in the top 5, but you got to start somewhere, and I decided to start at number 5 with Northern Cass. At number 4, Velva, a team that's kind of been outside that top 5 the last couple years. I think they're ready to come back. At number 3, the defending champions, Park River, Fordville, Lankin. Jackson Hankey is back. A lot of the other playmakers not intact from last year, but again, a program that has a lot of elite athletes. And at number 2, Larimer. I think Larimer has had an elite defense over the last couple years. They continue that trend, have enough playmakers this year to contend for a title. And in at number 1, Hazen. They've been so good for so many years. This year they bring it back together, another car back, making plays on offense. I think the Bison return to dominance in Class A. In North Dakota Class AA, we saw Beulah take the title last season, and they make an appearance in the top 5. But at number 5, we're going to start with Valley City, a team that really took a step up last year, and I see that trend continuing for them this season. Beulah in at number 4, a young team, became a veteran team last year, and they've got a lot of guys ready to step into those holes and make some plays this season. Top 3 should look very familiar. Wahpeton in at number 3, continually finding guys to plug holes and make big plays. At number 2 and number 1, St. Mary's and number 1, Shanley, 2 teams that have really been good over the last few years, have a lot of athletes back, and should contend for another title this season. And now time to look at AAA, the biggest class in North Dakota. And again, I see about 10 teams that could make a case for a top 5 ranking, but I cut it off at number 5. You'll see the Bismarck Demons, a team that has been so dominant over the last decade. The last couple seasons have slipped just a little bit. And there's not much margin of error in this top 5, so they come in at the bottom of the top 5 rankings. At number 4, Jack Pfeiffer and Fargo South return. Not a lot of elite talent on this team, but a lot of depth. I see their defense really making a big improvement this year, and it's always nice to have that quarterback play, a guy who's been seasoned and done it for a year in Jack Pfeiffer to lead the Bruins back into contention for a state title. At number 3, Bismarck Century crossed that threshold last year, making it all the way to a championship. This year, maybe not quite enough talent at the top to do it, but the depth is there for Ron Wingenbach's crew. They'll be in the mix, that's for sure. In at number 2, Minot. The biggest school in the state has a lot of athletes, no surprise there. And this is a team I think could contend in the WDA and give a lot of teams a run for their money, including number 1, West Fargo. There is not as good of a defense, maybe in both states, North Dakota or South Dakota, is what West Fargo brings this year. A lot of beef up front, a lot of talent in the backfield. Look for the Packers to be the top team in AAA. So there's a look at North Dakota's power rankings to begin the season. Stay tuned for the rest of the show to find out some of South Dakota's classes and their early season power rankings.
Much more to come on this 7x7 Rise Above the Region football special. We will take a look at how the popularity of the Riggs Football Combine has soared over the years, and we'll show you how some of the top athletes performed this year. Also, top plays of the day coming up later, but next we'll show you the rest of the pool play highlights when we return on Rise Above the Region.
This Varsity Sports Special, Rise Above the Region, 7-on-7 high school football coverage on Midco Sports Network, is presented by Sanford Power, Riggs Premier Football Academy, and Midco Sports Network.